Guess who's back? SJ's back. Bat is back. Pat is back. Yeah, Batman. We're going to talk about Batman news today. It can start filming again in the UK. Yay! Maybe? Question mark. We're going to unpack it all. Also, if you stick around, I'm going to yell about how much I love the Sandman, and you are going to yell about that too. I'm going to encourage these fools to yell about what they love.
Danielle, you mean Adam Sandler, right?
Yes, I do. As a matter of fact, I do mean Adam Sandler. Danielle Radford.
Hi. Hello. Oh, you're over there. Hi. Hello.
Hello. It's beautiful to see you today. Starr. How's Sarah?
She's good.
Beautiful. I'm going to show. I really want my cat to become an Instacat, so I'm going to pull her out later. But more on that. Spencer GIlbert, how are you?
I will say this about Adam Sandler. Not just a great performer in Uncut Gems, but he was way ahead of the curve on just wearing a baggy pair of basketball shorts everywhere. I mean, we've all become a little Sandman, and he was right.
It's really true. First of all, good shout out to Uncut Gems. He is a good actor, and when he wants to be, he was a number of times in Punch Drunk Love, in Happy Gilmore, in Uncut Gems. The man can act. I think the point is this, Spencer. I love the fact that you just 100% don't listen and return to your own point, because I do that too.
I didn't know if I'd get a chance to bring it up again, and I just want to shout out basketball shorts during the quarantine. They're great.
And you also wanted to do a call out, a legitimate call out to Uncut Gems, which is a great movie. Yes, fair enough. We're going to talk about that Batman, but first, for those of you who have been asking if I am shooting this on a potato, in fact, I am. Something that you didn't know about me is that I have long lived on a potato farm, and I'm very happy to be home and utilizing the full potato, not just part of it. Okay, good. Guess who's back? It's via Deadline and GQ. The UK government has given the green light for high-end TV and film productions to resume shooting as soon as employers have put in place coronavirus safety measures, end quote. So the change of position 7 weeks after, quote, lockdown, which we probably all have different feelings about the use of that term for this, but sure. It could be a boost for thousands in the industry. And so there's a good point to that. There's people getting back to work. I want to talk about that a little bit. There's also, I think, some concern out there about the speed with which people are getting back to work, though, like we talked about the other week, there are some productions that are back in effect in other countries like the Czech Republic. But one of the productions that would be moving forward is the Batman. So we're going to talk about a little bit about what we know about the Batman so far and what Pattinson's been talking about, putting cheese and pasta and sugar together in a microwave, and then also refusing to work out for this role, which I think is interesting, and we're going to have more to say about than we think we do. But first, let's talk about, do we think that these productions should go back into effect in the UK? By the way, not living in the UK, so we only have so much weight to our opinions on this. Starr. Sarah, you're muted. Joe, we can't hear you.
Oh, crap.
Oh, Joe. No. Bring Joe back.
Guess who muted my mic?
Sarah.
Awesome.
Hey, geographically, Roth, the UK is, from what I learned in school, a good deal far away from California. So if they'd like to resume shooting in the UK, I'm all for it. Make my movies elsewhere.
I don't feel that's really, if you really do feel that way, I think it's interesting. I think that we only have the right to so much opinion, very little about what the UK does. But I will 100%. Say the only thing that I actually, oddly enough, Joe, I have the opposite concern, and I think it's very personal because I have a partner who's 100% dependent on production being in effect to be able to work, because he's a practical effects artist. So productions have to be happening in LA for him to work. So I will say in that, and the friends I have that are currently out of work because production isn't happening in LA, I worry a little bit, maybe irrationally, about so many other places opening up production before Los Angeles does, because, and we've talked about this previously, it's not that I don't want those other people to have work. It's just that it's been hard enough over the last few years to keep production in Los Angeles in total. So I worry when on the same day that we're hearing the Batman is going to go back into production in the UK, which it was going to be in production there anyway, so that's not new. that we're looking at potentially 3 more months of stay-at-home orders in Los Angeles. Like, I worry about us in terms
I
of
definitely,
but we want to be safe. To be really clear, we want to be safe first and
it's
foremost.
not unfounded though. I definitely think as other spots start opening early, you know, it's about bottom lines and it's about, you know, money. So I do think people will try to find openings to ship stuff elsewhere.
Yeah.
At all levels, whether it is you know, crafting zombies, or whether it is, you know, people behind the camera, or just where we hire our extras and stuff like that. I think as other locations start to open early, we're going to see some interesting changes in the film industry just based on like these early necessity moves.
Yeah.
That could last a long time.
Yeah. I and again, just because this is actually fairly serious what we're talking about, to be clear, safety first. Like, we want everyone to be safe and we want to be responsible, and the lives come first. Danielle, do you have a take on it?
Yeah, I mean, I have like I don't know, I have the most medium take you can have, I guess, which is I don't know how the UK is doing right now. I just hope that if you're going back into production, they're doing everything. And there are tons of measures that you can be taking. There are things that can be done. It worries and stresses me out just because I want people to be safe. I want everyone to be taken care of. It's that hard line between people need to eat and not everyone is being taken care of right now. And you know, so it's between that, and it's because for me it's not about, like, of course, like, we want all of our movies to come back, that's a given, but I put like the human stuff and the human cost before that. So it's hard because, yeah, people need money. I have friends who have been tweeting, and when that order came out said, I've really got to start deciding if I'm going to still be in LA in the next month or so, because productions are also so down. You know, do I starve here or do I starve slower somewhere else? Which, you know, is something that someone said because they're not currently working. And so obviously, yeah, we want people to have jobs. I just want everyone to be safe, and I want productions to really like P's and Q's it. And there's no, you know, you can't like half-ass it. You can't cut corners. If you're gonna do it, you got to like lock it down and do it.
Yeah, and I think they are doing that. I mean, we've talked about this a lot. I don't know what the specific measures for the Batman are, for example, but they did talk about sequestering the crew, that everyone on the crew would be wearing a mask. The only people that were not wearing a mask would be the people in front of the camera, obviously.
Well, some of them will be.
Well, except when they are. Some of them will be in this particular case. But the point is this. I think they are going to be taking measures. Spencer, I do not envy the people that have to weigh what Danielle is talking about, because I don't think anyone here is like, we need to be able to get back out to the beach and a haircut. But I know that I was really hit hard for 3 years during the recession, and like literally had to give up 2 apartments, my cat. I almost was living in a car. Like, it was bad.
Really
And
bad.
there's a part of me that has so much PTSD from that I'm just like, I never want to go back to that. And it's weighing the people that are suffering in that regard and the overall health of everyone. This is tough. Like, Spencer, fix it. You have to.
Well, look, I mean, we have.
It's up to you, Spencer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, is it more complicated than they should just give people money until this is over? Is that too simple?
No, that sounds great.
I mean,
that is my
like that.
Someone on this panel needs to say safety's for nerds, put on shades, do a kickflip, and demand their Batman sooner than later.
Okay.
And I guess it's gonna be me.
Joe,
give me my Batman, nerds, with your hand washing.
You're representing that part of the population right now, Joe Starr.
Joe's been black-pilled, man.
Yeah, man. If there was another pill, if there was a pill just made of like
just don't use 5G at your studio and you'll be solid.
Just sacrifice your grandparents on the altar of capitalism, man.
Yeah.
Moloch demands it.
Look, you either die a hero or you live long enough to become the villain. That's in a Batman movie. I love the Batman.
To your point, Spencer, though, Lon Harris was talking about this the other day, and kind of like, we're not going to tread too far down this, but the idea that is this binary situation, or that it's been sort of, the narrative is that it's this binary situation where it's either like everyone goes broke everyone or certain people die. And to your point, I feel like a responsible group of smart humans could figure out the way that it's not one or the other, at this time.
Yeah,
but it's not easy also.
Exactly. Like it seems like what we know about this disease and how it spreads and what's safe and what isn't seems to change week to week, if not day to day. So I feel like you could just give us a little UBI, little taste, just to hold us over until we know a little more. Like this isn't a permanent state of affairs, but while we're figuring out what is and isn't safe, let's not have every human being in like their own personal financial hell, and then we'll figure it out later. No?
Right. And this, to be fair, also what we're talking about right now is so narrow in scope. Like we're talking about literally movie productions, right? Which is a very privileged thing in the first place, quite frankly. But if you're talking about, and then we're talking about nations that are more supported, though they sometimes refuse to support their citizens, are more supported. I mean, you really start thinking about globally, and that's where, sorry, this is not fun for you guys. I'm going to move off of it because I was just like, think about the refugee. Thank you, Joe Starr. That was on me, but this is just what's on my mind right now. It's like, is that face, is that like what you're seeing, the horror of what you're seeing above me right now is basically what plays out in my mind when I think about how the world is going to deal with this in places that are like refugee camps. Okay, good. And with that in mind, let's talk about Batman, because this is an entertainment show. Thank you. All right, more on that. Pattinson did an interview with GQ, which I think we talked about a little bit yesterday, because he did advise, I think, the most disgusting meal I have ever heard of in my entire life. It's something that we should be learning how to do during this pandemic. So somebody's got quarantine brain. But past that, he also talked a little bit about the role and how he was prepping for it. Apparently eating cheese and sugar together is one of those things. So on working out, though, I just love how honest he is about this. He said, yeah, like I'm not really doing much in terms of that, versus Zoe Kravitz, who's like working out every day. And this is what he said: I think if you're working out all the time, you're part of the problem, man. I mean, you set a precedent for other actors. So I just love the fact that he's just embracing the idea of being super lazy about this and not getting pumped to play a superhero. Do you think it's something that's necessary to play Batman to be in amazing shape? Or is this just going to be the first kind of lean, mean, weirdo Batman?
No. Wait, what? Who thinks that like Michael Keaton was like?
I said since Keaton.
Oh, okay.
You're in a big molded suit.
Yeah, the abs are built into the suit.
You don't even have to have nipples to play Batman because they're going to add them.
Mm-hmm.
They've had the nips in post. That's a Batman
Action
tradition.
Nips. Yeah, action nips.
I think this is great. And I think that it's really stupid and sad. And you said like lazy, like it's not a binary thing between lazy and not lazy. Like whatever Kumail did to his body and whatever Chris Pratt did to himself and whatever like all the Marvel guys do is wrong. It's like scientifically wrong. You're not supposed to eat 17 servings of steamed fish and HGH for 7 months just for one shower shot.
Don't you tell me that what Kumail did to himself was wrong, sir.
It's weird. It looks like a deep fake. It's not natural.
And bless them, when they talk about that specifically, Kumail has talked about it. The guy that plays, thank you, who plays Macklemore, yes, who loves thrifting and talking about men's health. But Rob McElhenney on It's Always Sunny. Yeah, who they've talked about how, they get into shape for these roles, but it's not attainable for most people to be in like that shape, like that. You've got to add on bulk. Ryan got to
add mass, then shape it.
Gotta add that mass. People talk about how many chickens they ate. Like it's really hard to maintain, and it's a lot of work. And so I don't also the idea of like, you're going to do this during quarantine. It's like all of those people who have done that have had trainers literally come to their house and like, they have someone who comes in and lives with them and makes all their food. They have someone who like basically comes to their house and lives with them for 12 hours a day and make sure they're working out. And during horrorcore, I don't think that that's necessarily possible to have someone, unless you decide that, hey, I have to get in shape for this role that's shooting. I have to put on, 30 pounds of pure muscle. So I guess you just live with me for 6 months. Sorry about your family. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's even feasible for that kind, like, because he's already in like shape. He's already fit. It's just being in that, Chris Pratty, Camille
If
fitness.
Robert Pattinson is here to herald an era where we return to old-timey American athletes and hunks who are just swarthy, thick dudes that didn't actually have any visible muscle definition, but could throw like a barrel 4 miles, I'm very into it.
Rest in peace.
By the way, there was a time then Jimmy Stewart at age like 55 was a sex symbol. I mean, there was a time when that was a real thing. First of all, have you guys seen Time Bandits?
Sure.
Because I am getting major Time Bandit vibes from what's happening above me right now. So just waiting for you to herald in some kind of apocalyptic doom that we haven't already heralded in.
It's the eyes.
If I have to say something,
Listen, to your point, Spencer, though, there are people who like working out that are in that kind of shape because they want to be.
No one likes working out that much. Like Marvel working out.
There are people that do.
That is a pure expression of inner pain.
I don't relate to this. We have on our team this
Spencer, that was
tiny but mighty man named David Pac-Man, who is literally Wolverine.
If you don't think that's motivated by like 90% hatred, then you don't know David Pac-Man.
Hatred of I know that it is. He's expending all, and as a matter of fact, Spencer, I would argue that he's expending his hate in a more positive way.
Exactly. I'm not saying it's unhealthy to express it that way, but it's not. No one who works out 24/7 is. We don't need to get into this.
I clearly we do. I don't know why. First of all, let me just say how we started the show, which was I was furious because I've been on Noom for 3 damn months and have only lost 12 stupid pounds.
That's how Noom works.
That's a lot, right?
And I'm so mad. And then Spencer suggested that Danielle explained that Noom was British weight loss, and he suggested that they're just trying to get me to eat bad food. Good call, Spencer.
Oi, with your mint and peas.
So I understand Pattinson outside of adding the sugar with the cheese into the pasta.
Wait, you haven't gotten to that part of the story yet.
I haven't gotten to that. But the point is this: there are people that do enjoy working out, and when you sign up to play a superhero, it's frequently a heightened, bigger than reality performance and look and all of that. And I am suggesting that it's kind of cool that we might see just a return to a totally weird, unique embrace of Batman like we saw with Keaton, who to date is my favorite Batman.
Then we agree. Why are we yelling at each other? We agree.
This is the internet. This is the internet right now.
It's also Batman. I guess if I have to say something not stupid and talk about Batman as if he were a real thing, he doesn't need to be cut. He's wearing body armor, and also he just he's still a put up my dukes and fight close in guy. Like, he does the swinging around, sure, but none of the movies have really made him like a flippy, kung fu ninja hero.
I need a suplex.
All the movies have still just had him, be big and swarthy and getting in, and the dude doesn't have to be cut from marble.
Okay,
I think that like canonically, right? He's at the peak of human conditioning. But what I'm saying
is to say that that's not just like a bottle of whiskey and a good hard workout as a professional baseball player from the 50s.
There is a difference. Well, there is a difference between presentational muscles and actual functional muscles, but that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah,
I've seen.
I feel like we're pretty deep into that.
This is all functional strength. These aren't show muscles, guys. This is all built for speed.
Spencer, we are shooting your shirtless MCU scene tomorrow, so
perfect.
Get ready, buddy.
Yeah.
I just
sure
won't
to take
hear
your sodium
you
pills.
besmirch Kumail like that, Spencer. I really just won't hear it.
I'm very unsettled by it. I'm sorry. It looks like a Photoshop. But if it's real, shame on me.
By the way, I just want to note for the record that we have just done a full performance art demonstration of the internet, which is that we yelled at each other for 5 solid minutes, actually being in agreement with one another. So that's A. And 2, I noted that we would have more to say on this topic than we thought we would, and we do, because I think we still have more yet. Is that not right, Guy?
It's true. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Joe?
Correct.
So upsetting.
What am I doing with my life? What am I doing with my life? All right, let's talk about more Batman crap. Here we go.
Alfredo Pennyworth, baby.
Alfredo Pennyworth is back, baby.
So then there was this quote, which I think will have very little to say, about Peter Sarsgaard, who is playing Gotham District Attorney Gil Colso. Did I mispronounce that, God?
It's a weird way to spell Harvey Dent.
Okay. A few more things to say about the movie when he appeared on Sirius XM radio. He said, "That's what I feel like this is about." And I love the fact that I have no context with that's what. I don't know what that was about. So that's what I feel this is about. It's not sanitized. It's got a raw power to it, a raw emotionality, blah, 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 dark, gritty, blah, blah, blah. Are we just kind of past the need to say that Batman is going to be dark and gritty? And shouldn't we just presume that that's going to be the case?
He's not like other Batmans. This one's dark.
I wouldn't take Sarsgaard. Let's go to the source. Let's go to the horse's mouth. Let's go to Robert Pattinson's long GQ profile, which I recommend, not just for the hand pasta stuff. He's an interesting fella. But he says that the challenge of approaching something like Batman is that so many people have done so many takes on it, and it's like a puzzle piece of like finding the missing piece of the Batman puzzle of like, where haven't you taken Batman? Where can I fit in that the other versions haven't done before? So that at least is Robert Pattinson's approach. And if other people find that super raw, let's go raw.
Raw.
Let's get raw.
Where are them raw dogs at? Where's Monday and them raw dogs? I don't know if it maybe just exposes that just a lot of the people who are on the screen and stuff that we look up to as like, or expect to be like hyper creative and stuff like that, maybe you're just, like, hey man, I think stuff should be dark and sick. And it's like, cool, good on you.
Stuff should be dark and sick, and you should have a lot of pockets where you could put that dark and sick stuff. That's what I'm into.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a huge going out on a limb here to say that it's not going to be like campy and like Batman and Robin style, but I'm sure that the intent is not to just do another Chris Nolan Batman. He's very consciously, at least according to our Pats, not trying to do that. So We'll see.
I mean, we've talked about this a little bit, and I think even proposed what it might be, just given what they've said about it to date in terms of it being very much the detective story, which people have been looking for and wanting out of their Batman. And kind of the idea that my idea, because it's got so many villains in it, is that it's like, and I think it's probably just because I like Good Time, is that it's this propulsive story where he's like, in the middle of one central mystery, there's a crime that has taken place, and he has to unpack it over like a night or two, just kind of like an old school noir story, or like a week or two. And he is basically, we have all of these different villains in it because he's investigating and then dispatching them as he goes along very quickly, trying to solve this crime. Like he investigates one, they're not it, he moves on, and like that's why there are so many different villains, and it's the only way that it sort of makes sense to me to have so many different villains in that one movie. And he said it's like a noir, it's like a detective story. So that's my take on this Batman.
Oh yeah, and there are a lot of different like really famous Batman arcs that follow exactly that, where you have the Hush storyline, you've got a bunch of different storylines, Long Halloween, which are essentially that, where it's like every issue or every whatever you were going through, and he was just like knocking off, okay, it's not this person, it's not that person, it's not that person, calendar man. So it's like you go through so yeah, I think you're absolutely like 100% spot on. That is going to be what it is, which I think if you're going to do one of these things where it's just a crap ton of villains, that's the way to do it. I don't want it to be, you do a bunch of villains and then it's like, oh, I also killed your dad. Okay. Which is tend to be what happens when you load up all these villains. And it's like, well, one of them has to have a backstory that relates to whatever. No, I don't need that. I don't need pearls, but I know we're.
I think it's I think it's going to be that and like a lot of like Silence of the Lamb type asylum interviews. Got to go to Arkham and chat with the Condiment King, kind of stuff.
I think it's going to be an adaptation of Triangle Man by They Might Be Giants.
He's doing the things that a triangle can.
He hates Particle Man.
They have a fight. Triangle wins.
Triangle Man. Mm-hmm.
Which is also dark and raw and unfiltered.
Can't do it anymore.
When will Universe Man show up in the MCU?
I quit. Bye.
We lost Roth. Joe, I believe you have the chair.
Well, hang on.
No, don't. No, I'm still responsible for you mothers. Still gotta take care of your dumbasses. Thank you guys so much for liking, subscribing, joining us on a daily basis. We're really holding it together really beautifully here at Screen Junkies, and we thank you for doing that right along with us. We love you guys. We love you for liking, subscribing. We're gonna hear from the thank you. Oh no, don't do that to beautiful Sarah. Sarah does not deserve that. That's a beautiful, beautiful animal. Ryan is going to be checking in on the chat and letting us know if there's anything coming from the chat in terms of a question or a follow-up question or a request for a topic. So Ryan, check in from the chat, please. Good. Thank you.
Hey, chat so far pretty disturbed by Joe's background. There's been a lot of asks for that to maybe get taken down. I have denied all of them, so don't worry about it, Joe. I have told them no.
This is the standard moving forward.
Great, perfect. And then we did see some people who seem to be living in the UK area who seem to be a little bit more worried about the idea of stuff opening up production-wise. I think that makes sense that people who live in that area are a little bit more pessimistic than outside that area. It's a complicated issue. And most people seem to be down for a darker Batman or whatever Matt Reeves is going for here, even if they can make fun of the pasta and Pattinson stuff. And also, most people think that Pattinson was kidding. A lot of people in the chat think he was joking, and then just GQ took it up, which I don't know. I think he was tongue-in-cheek, but not joking.
He does tend to give
joking about the pasta or joking about not working out?
The working out thing. The pasta, everyone thinks he was being serious, but the working out thing, people think he was maybe just trying to mess with people.
Danielle, what were you going to say?
No, just say, like, Robert Pattinson does have a long history of just attempting to, is there a word for dunking but awkward? Because that's what he tries to do to any major franchise he gets. Like, anyone who wants to give him millions of dollars to be in a movie, he wants to find the most efficient way to undercut everything that they're doing, and I love him for it.
Yeah,
I feel like he hasn't done that since Twilight. Like, this is his
big
return to big movie making, right?
And he did it immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he did that so much to Twilight. I think what happened was he was so young. So the first one, which I rewatched, Goblet of Fire, the other day, was Cedric Diggory. Obviously, that was his first, and he was probably just grateful to be a part of that. Hey, Ryan, by the way, if there's specific people with questions or comments that are nice, let us know. For those of you in the UK, legitimately, our hearts are with you, and we hope everybody stays really, really safe. Yeah, he didn't. I think Twilight overwhelmed him, and I think he kind of had a rough time with it for a little while, which it would be super understandable. That would have to be incredibly overwhelming for a young person.
Yeah, you're in a boy band that's also a movie.
Yeah, but you didn't sign up for you just didn't know that that's what you were signing up for in the first place. Mm-mm. Yeah, I couldn't imagine people having that reaction. You know what I mean? Like the kind of like just overwhelmed and overwhelming adoration. No person would feel that they were deserving of it. And so all of your insecurities would like escalate, I think, by times infinitely.
Combined with the fact that like you couldn't go to a mall if you wanted to. You couldn't go you know, without like a lot of security, or like stores would have to close down for you, which if you're a normal person makes you feel like such a douche, I would imagine.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like those weird adjustments to your life where you just feel like this is dumb and it happened all of a sudden. And because of the way that my life is and because of my safety, I suddenly have to become a douche. Ooh.
And it's why as much as we make fun of the olden days where like Melrose Place was the characters were all 18 and the actors were all 35, I think we should go back. I think no more child actors. They should all be played by people 18 or over. 25 or over. Let's give people a chance to adjust before we throw them in the machine.
Brains aren't even solid until like 26, right? Like you still got soft spots.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
my brains until 35. So
That's science.
I can confirm that. For
Ryan is confirming that. Thank you very much, Ryan. Batman. Yeah. But I will say this, the pasta's nasty. What Eric was asking us is if we would eat that pasta, and I would say this wholeheartedly and unequivocally, yeah, I would taste that pasta.
Well, I guess so. I mean, I get what he was going for. I think his execution left a little to be desired because he put tinfoil in the microwave and it exploded.
That's the joy of being an amateur chef.
Yeah. But I do think that like some type of hand pasta, I mean, any pasta is a hand pasta if you're willing to wash up afterwards. You can just take a big fistful of fusilli, which is the title of my Western, and shove it in your mouth. It's delicious. My baby does it all the time. She just, you know. So I don't know if it's a new trend that's going to catch on. Also, I'm not even one of those like I'll say it, creepy adult fans of Disneyland. But I've been to Cars Land, and you get that mac and cheese in the cone. That thing's great. That's basically hand pasta.
But
the
they
bread
make
cone.
mac and cheese balls, right?
Mac and cheese balls. This is well-trod territory, but maybe if it just needs branding, it needs to be R. Pattinson's hand pasta, and then you know,
But why
it's not the first
sugar?
person; it's the first person to like patent it and Pattinson.
In it.
Patents in it. Why sugar, Spencer?
Well, yeah. Ooh, tough.
Add some sweet to that.
I have ideas.
Yeah.
It's not great, but I do know that there is a precedent for some people, especially people who live not necessarily in England, people in the South, that when you make tomato or like a tomato sauce or like a marinara, they will add a little bit of they'll add some sugar to it to make it sweeter. I do know, and so like in the Philippines, their version of they have like a Filipino spaghetti, which is
Jollibee.
Jollibee. It's made with banana ketchup and a bunch of other stuff, and it is very sweet. So there is a precedence for sweet pasta. It is not.
I think New York pizza sauce has a little sugar in it.
It does.
Yeah.
I mean, pasta sauce frequently has a little bit of sugar in it, but from what Spencer was describing,
it's like sugar,
it was just
a nice sugar crust.
Sugar to make a sugar crust. Like he got confused between that and breadcrumbs.
I mean, not to really hammer or belabor the point, but he is English, so you know the food thing. You need to give him time to figure things out.
Food in England is
born
actually
at a disadvantage
really
food-wise. What's that?
Food in England has been really good for the last.
I've been.
Years. Yeah, delicious.
The Indian food's great. The Middle Eastern food's great. Them's the colonies, baby. The full English breakfast is pretty good.
Curry, tea time, it's good.
Oh yeah, remember when the English invented curry?
Well, no, but they co-opted it like colonizers.
Yeah.
That's all our food too, by the way, Spencer. Like all American food is not from here.
Nobody invented the KFC Double Down, but the US of A.
That's right. That's right. You're welcome, world. Thank you guys for sticking with us. Even through, if you are, even through this, it really does mean a ton to us. Please do hit that like, hit that bell. We're going to start like challenges up again, and it starts with this. Cobra Commander will return if you hit, how many likes, Joe?
Well, in the next 8 minutes before we wrap, if you guys can get us to 500, Cobra Commander will swing in tomorrow.
Ooh. 500 likes and you will get the return of Cobra Commander. So And also, honestly, I know there's been a couple of technical hiccups along the way, so we're working through all of that. We're working to smooth out the audio. We appreciate you guys sticking with us through that. Why am I in a potato? Because when we were bought by Fandom, I chose to have the cheapest computer because I wanted other people who I thought needed it more to have the better computer, because I didn't know that 2 years later we'd be in a global pandemic. So F me is what I think I'm trying to say. But we're working through all of that and trying to make it a higher end home experience for us and you. And we love you. So with that in mind, we also made other things for you. Like yesterday, our very own lovely, delightful, wonderful Danielle Radford did one of our AMAs with Noel Stevenson for She-Ra. It was awesome. It was so much fun. So we will be having links up for that in the next few days that you can go back and watch the full show, that you can watch the clip outs. That will be coming up later this week. But in the meantime, we also did one of our video AMAs with John Wick director Chad Stahelski on Friday night. We have an article in the description below that has clips from it, that has the full show if you'd like to watch it, has a couple of things that he said about John Wick 4. And the upcoming television series that I've been looking forward to forever, The Continental. So here's a clip of him talking a little bit about what we can expect from The Continental.
The TV show, the angles they're working on the Continental TV show right now is a different perspective on the whole world. It's coming at it from different characters' point of views and what the breadth of the world is actually. So it's not, whereas in John Wick, I'm following one time period, literally almost a week in the life of one man, who everything spirals out of control, which is our John Wick story. The angle, the other producers and the writers on the TV show are coming from a very different timeline structure and a very different perspective of character about how deep the world goes, and not just about assassins, but everything that's included, and a lot of the origin stories of some of the characters that you see in Wick. So it's got some very interesting things. It's a very interesting take on the Wick world, which I think is pretty cool. But it won't be from the John Wick perspective. Not that John Wick won't be involved in it. It's just it's not from his perspective.
Are you guys looking forward to The Continental?
I want them to continue to. John Wick has a real sweet spot for me where there's a ton of lore and not a ton of logic behind it, which I actually really like. Give me more rules about coins, but also never actually explain the coins to me. Like that for some reason, I really like stuff like that. So I just want the Continental to just keep packing in bizarre rules and ideas and then just like force you to deal with it. That's and then fight for a while.
No, it's like on, oh gosh, what is the name of that drinking game they play on New Girl?
True American.
True American. It's like True American. Just keep giving me hints about True American, but never tell me exactly how the game is played. I'm right there with you, Joe. Like that's exactly how I feel about John Wick. Like just give me a little bit, but I don't need the thing of like, oh, they met here and this is why this happens and whatever. Cause like, you know, the most boring conversation you can ever walk into at a party is, oh, how did you guys meet? I don't want to hear any of that. I just want I want dudes shooting guns on horses.
Fair enough. True American, I think, involves a lava pit. Spencer GIlbert, I couldn't tell. So I think there was some indication that this was going to, I'd like it to be an anthology series, I think. Where where it's not necessarily that you're following. There was one idea that also was okay, which was that it was somebody's journey into this world. But the concern about that is that inevitably we're going to get too much about True American. So I'd like it just to be a self-contained story every episode about this world.
Yeah, like maybe if it's hosted like a Hitchcock Presents, but it's like, who's that guy? He's like the concierge at the hotel. He's awesome.
Lance Reddick.
Yeah, Lance Reddick.
What if he does the Robert Stack of introing and outroing the show?
Yeah. And it's just every week or however it comes out, there's a new room with an assassin in it, and it tells you about the time somebody accidentally killed their house pet.
Yes. Very good. And then they're just increasingly bizarre house pets. You know, eventually
a lot of assassins are snake guys or snake people.
Definitely.
Yeah, and I think a good, like, if you ever saw Bad Times at the El Royale was one of my favorite movies when it came out that year. I wish it would have gotten more love, but that is like a perfect example of a way to be like, everyone's got their own story going on, and like sometimes they'll connect and sometimes they don't. Obviously, that's a movie, so they all had to get together in the third act. But something like that, where it's like they're all kind of running around this hotel doing their own thing, and then occasionally, like, they'll get together and do something. I also could have mentioned Four Rooms, except I don't like Four Rooms.
Oh yeah, I also don't like Four Rooms too. But Bad Times, amazing. And we will have more Hey Fandoms coming up in the next couple of weeks. We have one coming up next Tuesday with Ben Schwartz, which will be really fun. And that's for Space Force. So all of these are in support of Direct Relief, which is helping to support those right on the front line of COVID. So please do support that if you can. There's a link in the description. Hey, Danielle, you know what you and I have in common?
Was that?
We like Sandman.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we do. And I forced on Joe a story about a casting for an audiobook today, which is not So let's talk about the amazing people that are going to show up to bring Sandman to life. James McAvoy, man.
No, that's
cool.
great casting. That's great dream casting. Plus, it's Dream is one of those his
Dream
whole
casting.
thing.
Yeah.
Dream casting. Oh, that works in like two ways. But one of the great things about that is that Dream, his whole thing is he can be whatever culture you're from. He is their version of a Sandman or someone who like lulls you to sleep. So James McAvoy gets to do all of his accents.
Oh, and you know he loves that.
And he's gonna do all of them.
Yeah. So if you guys don't know Sandman, this is the DC Vertigo comic book written by Neil Gaiman. It's amazing. I highly recommend that you indulge yourself and treat yourself to a little bit of that, or you can wait until the Audible adaptation of it. I guess the drama, it's going to be July 15th. That can't be possible. Is that right, Ryan? They're turning it around that fast?
Could be.
It's going to adapt the first 3 volumes of the novel series, Preludes and Nocturnes, The Doll's House, and Dream Country. So the voice cast also includes Riz Ahmed, Arthur Darvill, Kat Dennings as Death, Taron Egerton, Bebe Neuwirth, hello, Andy Serkis, Michael Sheen as Lucifer. This is insane.
Great. Yeah.
This is a great cast. Kat Dennings was the one that I was a little like, okay. Death is canonically Death is completely different than all of her siblings. Please don't make her do an accent. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, that one I think threw me just a little bit, but maybe it's gonna be awesome.
It might be. Look, clearly they know what they're doing with casting, and so if she went in and she read great and she's what they need, then clearly like they know more than I do about what they're looking for. But I would rather Death be American than listen to all of these great British actors and then like an American trying to catch up.
There's nothing scarier to me than the voice of the Reaper having like a bad like Valley Girl vocal fry.
Oh, but that's Death. That is, to be fair, that is completely 100% Death's character. So that is.
It's like your time to like die.
Like whatever.
I'm like going to this club later.
Have you read it, Spencer?
Yeah, the graphic novel for sure. It's amazing.
It's amazing. Do you think that this casting is completely separate than the next Netflix series? Any connection?
Right. I wish you could just film these people. It sounds great.
Right.
The Netflix one, isn't that JGL? Is that Joseph Gordon-Levitt?
Well, he was involved for a really long time. He was trying to develop it, I think, for 5 years. And then it was a movie, and then it was a series, and then it wasn't. So this is like the Y the Last Man of Sandman. So it's just the same as Y the Last Man is what I guess I'm trying to say. I don't think it is. Is it, Ryan, can you check and see if this is JGL? I don't think it is.
Bring it full circle, though. What's that?
What's the request?
Is it Joseph Gordon-Levitt, the Netflix series?
Which Netflix series? Sorry, I'm listening on the delay, so I'm a minute behind you guys.
Sandman?
Oh, Sandman. There we go.
But to bring it full circle, I would cast our Pats as Dream. I think he's my dream casting.
You love him now.
Come on. Lighthouse, Good Time. These are like the two of my favorite movies the last 5 years.
No, I
Oh,
love
yeah.
him too, but I think that you
Yeah.
love him because of the article because he was such a weirdo.
Yeah.
I think that's why you love him.
That helps.
It does. Yeah, it doesn't
That
hurt
absolutely helps.
to play a weirdo like Dream.
I also believe that Dream doesn't know how pasta works.
Nope, no way.
I was just about to ask Joe a question, and look what happened.
Oh, we lost Joe. Oh no.
We lost Joe, ladies and gentlemen.
He'll be back.
We lost Joe. Okay,
Oh,
with
yeah.
that in mind.
By the
That was
way,
rough,
there's a separate project that Joseph Gordon-Levitt left a while ago for Sandman. That's what
Okay.
it seems like he's referring to.
Well, now that you're here, Ryan, why don't you take us out? Oh, oh, she's got a cat.
It's time to go, guys. Hey, thanks for being with us. It's been a weird one today, but we hope you enjoyed it. We want to hear from you, and we love you guys. Be nice to each other, please. It's a really hard time in life right now. But anyway, we're weird.
Pray for Roth.
Pray for us.